Thank you so much for joining us today. We are talking about optimization myths exposed, common landing page misconceptions. We're teaming up with Wistia today, so excited to have you guys here. And so we're going to get started. So just some housekeeping. We will have a recording available to you. We'll have a Q&A at the end of the session, so get your questions in as we're running through the webinar for our experts. And you can also chat at us on Twitter. So feel free to use any of our hashtags. We'll keep them at the bottom as well for you. So first off, I'm going to introduce you guys to Margot. Margot is the community manager at Wistia. Hi, Margot. Are you there?
Hi, everyone.
So excited to have you here. And Margot's going to tell you a little bit about Wistia quickly.
Yeah, so hi, everyone. I'm going to talk a little bit about Wistia. We are a video hosting company built for business. So we allow you to have complete control over your video content, and you get to see all the analytics attached to it. So from engagement rate to lead generation, you're able to use those tools, and when you upload a video, you'll be able to see its engagement rate, play rate, who watched it, from where they may have rewatched it, etc. And you can also embed those videos anywhere on the web and get the SEO powers that go with it. So a little behind the scenes on Wistia, we're always trying to say that we're making business more human, because that's what video does. It really lets you show that behind the scenes human element of your business.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And on the line here, we also have Erin Sagan. Erin is our PPC brand evangelist here at WordStream. You want to say hi, Erin?
Hi, guys. So excited to have you all on board today.
Thanks, Erin. And if you guys are not familiar with WordStream, we are a paid search software built to optimize your performance metrics across quality score. We also help you to automate best practices within the Google platform. So yay. And before we turn it over to our guests, I want to learn a little bit about you guys. So what are your landing page pain points? Are you guys having trouble attracting traffic, getting consistency, getting those conversion rates up? Are your bounce rates out of control? Like, what's going on in your world? Let us know. Give you a couple of minutes here to answer. Great, and it looks like we have about 60% of our people have gotten in here. So let me go ahead and show you the results. Awesome. So 36% attracting traffic, 45% conversion rates. Well, guys, we have a lot of stuff here to help you out with that. And we're going to go ahead and get started here. So I'm going to turn it over to Erin, and she's going to talk to you about PPC strategies.
All right, guys. Noelle, thanks so much for the intro. As I saw in all of your kind of survey results, and I think we can all agree, marketers tend to be absolutely obsessed with conversions. That's the name of the game. That's what we're all working towards. So you might be wondering, like, what is a good conversion rate anyway? And I think this is really important to set the tone of the webinar. Like, how do you stack up to others, and where do you want to be going? The median conversion rate, and this is based on like 100,000 accounts in the WordStream database, as you can see, is rolling with a median 2.35%. But you'll notice that there are plenty of people on there that are achieving way, way higher. So I think even, if you fall below this kind of average down here, then you definitely know that you have work to do. But even if you fall in some of these kind of higher segments, there's still a lot you can be doing to kind of push yourself to get even higher. Because as you can see, the top 10% of people are scoring 11.45% or above in conversion rates. So there's definitely room to grow there. And what we're going to be talking about today is how you can start nudging those conversions along. So the first myth I wanted to address is that low conversion rates mean that you must have landing page issues. This is one of the most common things I hear out there. It's like, my conversion rates suck. I need somebody to revamp all my landing pages. I'm going to, pay somebody to build me a whole new website or a whole new mobile site or whatever that may be. And I think that's really doing yourself a disservice, because while landing pages certainly do have a huge impact on your conversion rates, we need to start kind of way higher up. Before people even get to your landing pages, there are things that you can do to improve your conversion rates. So the reality that I want to talk about first is you can boost your conversion rates without even touching those landing pages. And this is a really simple formula, right? So conversion rates, as we all know, are the captured leads divided by website visitors times 100%. But there's incredible leverage in taking that top portion of website visitors, making it smaller, and if you cut out all of the unqualified visitors, all of that bad traffic, then even if you're not bringing more people to the site, you have a better rate of conversion. And then you can start to focus your efforts on expanding that kind of good network of people, right? Expanding the number of people who are qualified that you can get to your site. But first things first, you need to think about tightening that top quadrant or the top segment to make sure that you are only targeting qualified traffic. So this is a really common thing we see out there. I think a lot of people, especially to compete with their top competitors, they go a little hog wild with their keyword selection. So as you can see, I searched next day delivery prom dresses. Let me assure you, if you need a prom dress and you're typing in next day delivery, prom is probably the next day, right? Like you're in kind of emergency zone. You need the prom dress the next day. And they're not easy to find. I did some sleuthing online. They're definitely not easy to find. One of these ads did come up offering me exactly what I was looking for, those next day delivery prom dresses. I land on the website, and although they do have fast shipping options, not a single one of them is next day. It's all within the week. So what this site is doing is an incredible disservice to themselves, because they're advertising as something that they don't offer. They're saying, hey, we offer next day delivery, and then they can't deliver on that, and of course it's going to disturb their conversion rate. So simply by changing the keyword selection, or in this case it looks like they may have used dynamic keyword insertion, but either or, if you can be very, very careful to only include keywords in your account that are actually genuinely good fits for your account, reflective of what you offer and what you do, you will definitely see better conversion rates on the actual landing pages. So keep that in mind. One of the best ways, if you're running paid search, to knock out some of those wrong visitors that are dramatically hurting your conversion rates is to spend some time looking at your keyword choices and targeting settings. So this is really simple, right? With your keyword intent, you need to be sure, regardless of the type of keyword that you're using, it's completely reflective of you, your brand, and what you offer. Next thing is you want to think about your targeting settings. This is something people don't spend nearly enough time on. If you only ship dresses within the continental United States, good Lord, you better make sure that you're not targeting Alaska and Hawaii. Because again, you have people from those places coming to your website. Of course, they're not going to convert the second that they realize that you don't ship to them. So really think about who you're targeting and making sure that your targeting is exclusive to the people who you can actually get your products to. And then the final thing is thinking about the timing. Now, if let's say, for example, you need to speak with a representative to purchase something. It's not a direct online purchase. Well, then you need to make sure that your targeting settings are reflective of the time that your business center is open, right? That your call center is open. Maybe you only want to show ads from 9 to 5 because that's when you have people there available to take orders. Little tiny tweaks like these simply within your targeting can dramatically impact the people who are coming into your site and then ultimately impact your conversion rates. really want to think about this stuff before you think about changing your landing pages. And this is a really good way to start to identifying those kind of bad fits. So if you're running paid search, your query report is an absolute gold mine. This is a screenshot from the WordStream software from our tool, which is called the Query Stream. You can get similar data, not as robust, but similar data directly in AdWords in the C-Search Shorms report. And what this does is this shows you the raw data that people are searching that has triggered your ads to show. So you can take these, look at exactly what people are looking for, and make sure that if they're looking for something that doesn't really fit with your business, you're knocking those out with negative keywords or using more specific match types to eliminate yourself from showing in those circumstances. On the flip side, you might see things that people are looking for that you're actually not bidding on, and that'll help you bring better qualified traffic to your site. So again, you want to think about, no matter what you do, weeding out bad traffic and only bringing good traffic that's relevant to your business. So that hack kind of pre-qualify your traffic. This is another thing when we go back to that myth of, you have to change your landing pages to improve your conversion rates. Well, you could also pre-qualify that traffic to bring better traffic to your site. So if you can weed out those unqualified visitors, just like we were talking about before, but not simply with keyword changes, you can also use kind of visual cues to indicate to people that they should or should not convert. So for example, if you're selling a physical product, if you're selling merchandise online, you're an online retailer, you can leverage Google Shopping ads. Google Shopping ads are amazing because, as you can see here on the right-hand side, you can see a picture of the product as well as the price before you click through to it. This is awesome in getting rid of that bad traffic, because if I see a dress that I know I can't afford, I'm not going to click on this. Or if I see a dress that I don't like, I'm not going to click on it. So again, weeding out unqualified traffic, kind of self-selecting the people who are a good fit for you. Google recently released a couple unique ad formats. We're seeing these for the hotel industry, for the insurance industry, the automotive industry, where it allows you to share much more information in the ad, again, before people click through. So as you can see in this example with the hotel ads, it's pretty amazing because you can see pictures of the hotel, you can see their pricing and their availability before you click through to the site. So if somebody is not, willing to pay that much for the hotel, they don't like the way it looks, it's not in a good location for them, they don't like the reviews, you don't have rooms open on the time that they want to be there, they won't click through to your site. Again, that's going to be amazing for your conversion rates because it's weeding out unqualified people and encouraging only good fits to actually click through to your website. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, okay, great, thanks, Erin, like I'm not an online retailer, I'm not a hotelier, and I'm not in the automotive industry, like screw you, there's no cool ads for my business. How am I supposed to pre-qualify them? Well, there is one thing that everybody out there that can leverage. And that's this idea of inspiring users to take action. So kind of tweaking with people's minds to ensure that when they see your ad and they come to your landing page, they are more likely to convert. And here's how you do that. I'm sure many of you are familiar with Beanie Babies. I grew up in the 90s and early 2000s when Beanie Babies were at their prime. All of my friends were obsessed with Beanie Babies. Many of their parents were also obsessed with Beanie Babies. It was just like this terrible worldwide phenomenon. And people would pay like thousands of dollars for these stupid little plush toys. So, and I apologize if I'm not making fun of you if you're one of them. I was doing it too. Margo. Yes. And it's crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, people would just pay tons of money for these little guys. And it's like, why were people so apt to pay money for them? Well, they leveraged this theory of scarcity. The inventor of Beanie Babies, this genius man, thought to himself, if I make these Beanie Babies super exclusive, so I believe he sold like never more than 36 to the same storefront. That automatically creates this kind of sense of scarcity, and it's like everybody wants those Beanie Babies, and they know that they're less likely to find them again, so they're willing to pay more for them, and they're more likely to buy them when they're available to them because they never know if they're going to have the opportunity to purchase it again. So you're thinking to yourself like, okay, this may be my only shot. I need this bear today, and you're more likely to buy it, even if you're not prepared to buy it, even if you don't really want to be spending that money. So can you do this with your ads? You absolutely can. You can use countdowns to create urgency. If you infuse this countdown in your ad, it's going to give people that same kind of push to take action. So as you can see, sale ends in 2 days. Sale ends in 1 day. Sale ends in 3 hours. You feel that kind of time ticking down, and you're like, oh, I got to buy this. I need to click through. When they get to your website, they are way more likely to convert. In fact, the data shows as a sale indicates that it's ending or supply is diminishing, both click-through rates and, more importantly, conversion rates increase up to 3x what they were before. So this is incredibly impactful. Now, it sounds like a pain, I'm sure, to all of you, the very idea of sitting at your computer and like setting up new ads per hour or per day, especially if it's a time of the year like Black Friday where you really don't want to be behind your computer. So AdWords actually provides this little snippet of code called an ad customizer, which you can use to automate this process. So by popping in that little snippet of code, it will automatically provide the countdown information within your ad. So if you're an AdWords user, you really want to leverage this, this is probably the best hack for doing it. All right. Next myth that I want to go over is that classic A/B test that we all kind of as marketers are obsessed with. And I hate to break it to you, but the A/B test is a total fairy tale. This is what we typically see with these CRO optimization tests, right? We make a tweak, you make a small tweak, we initially see a impact, right? And then it starts to peter off over time. It doesn't have long-lasting impact. It's kind of a quick little change that over time shows no huge kind of moving of the needle. And the reason is because we're just obsessed with these teeny tiny tweaks. Like, should my button be green or should my button be red? Pretty basic, pretty lame change. Do I like this image or the one on the right? Again, pretty lame change. This doesn't move the needle. Do I like this layout with the right sidebar or sidebars on both sides? Guys, you got my point here, right? These are super stupid basic changes. They may move the needle slightly, but they are not going to be the thing that's giving you those unicorn conversion rates. When we looked at that conversion rate page, you remember I showed you that the top 10% have like ridiculously high conversion rates? Well, these types of changes will not get you to that top 10 percentile. It's kind of like me with my dieting strategy. I oftentimes go on a diet. I still find myself going to In-N-Out Burger. I'm still ordering like animal-style burgers. And then I get a Diet Coke on the side, and I pat myself on the back, and I feel good about it because at least I'm drinking a Diet Coke. I just took a sip of a Diet Coke. I did not have a healthy lunch. You get my point here. This isn't going to move the needle. It's a teeny tiny change, and it's not going to mean that I'm going to drop pant size tomorrow. Oh, that sounded weird. Drop clothing sizes tomorrow. Okay, now if I took a more kind of extreme approach and I went on a juice cleanse, then I probably would drastically change in size, right? Because I'm making a really big change, and that change is going to yield really big results. But if you stick with those teeny tiny changes where you're like, oh, I feel really good about my Diet Coke or the change in my button color, then the impact of that change is going to be incredibly low, and you probably won't be hitting those amazing conversion rates. So my message to you here, look at doing big, drastic changes. Here's one of them. Experiment with different offers. It's really easy to get stuck in a rut when you work in a silo, right? So like here, I mean, we work on the marketing team, and we had the same offer for years, and it was like it didn't even occur to us to change our offer. This was our old offer. It's kind of the typical standard software company offer. It's like, okay, give our stuff a shot. We'll give you a free trial. Right? Try it free, a week free trial. And we had this for years, and our conversion rates really stink. But we never figured out why. Like, it never occurred to us to change this offer. And it was just this totally lame offer. So finally, we started paying attention to what customers were saying or prospects were saying. And we started to realize the offer wasn't working, right? People were coming in via this live chat, and they're saying, hey, I just started a trial and it makes no sense. I'm really confused. Can you help me? So we knew that there was a problem. You know, people were calling sales reps on the phone, and they weren't saying, I want to buy. They're saying, I don't really get this free trial. I need help. So we had this crazy revelation, which is rather than kind of shoving our product down people's throats and pushing them to use it from the get-go, why don't we just look at what their problems are, satisfy that need first, and then ask them to give our software a try and buy our software. Seems silly, but I think many of us out there recognize that this is a problem, and a little revelation like this can go a big way. So we thought to ourselves, let's just try giving people what they actually say that they want. And that was help. They wanted to know how their accounts stacked up to the competition and why they weren't getting the results that they had been hoping for from their PPC accounts. And so we came up with a brand new offer. And it's really simple. It's a grader report. So instead of pushing people to a trial, we said, hey, plug in your credentials, we'll run an analysis on your account, and in 60 seconds or less, we'll show you all the problems in your account and what you need to do to fix them. Right? Simple, easy, streamlined, and really meets their needs, meets the questions they were coming to our sales reps and asking. And as I'm sure you can imagine, we have a 5 times higher conversion rate now. It's this greater offer that has revolutionized our business and made us successful. And I'll just quickly plug it. You guys should all try it. It is as cool as it sounds. It is really helpful. But my point is, by changing this offer, that was what moved the needle for us. It was not rocket science. Like, it wasn't revolutionary. All it was us finally listening to what prospects wanted and giving them what they wanted. So reevaluate your offer. Try and think of something new to offer to people that is more complementary to their needs. Then you can sell them your product. Another hack to get people, or like make big changes to get people to convert, is changing your sign-up flow, kind of switching that up. So this is a typical software download form. Familiar with this? Kind of annoying, right? Like, you have this huge form you have to fill out, and you're only like 18 steps away from downloading this amazing platform. Well, that's really boring, and more likely than not, you're going to get bored before you finish completing the form, give up, get tired, and never download the software. I'm sure you guys have done this. I know I have many a times. So instead of asking for all of this stuff up front and having people just like yawning and bored out of their minds, one of our clients tried something different, and that's just moving the registration to the end. So what they would do is gives people access to the download. They download the information, invest a little bit of time because, right, downloads sometimes do take a little while. But because they've already invested the time and the energy in the download and they have what they want, then we ask them to fill out this form. Then we ask for the information. And they were much more likely to complete it when they had already had that upfront investment and actually already done the download. So do you see what I mean? It's literally swapping the process. You go from filling out the form, then downloading, and we change it to download first, then fill out the form. You're asking people to do the exact same thing, the exact same amount of work, but they're less likely to get bored and abandon the process because they've given this initial upfront investment in downloading it, and they're super close to accessing what their goal was. So these big, bold changes yield big, bold results for people. So here's another example. Rather than switching the flow, in this case, this particular business lets users pick their own path. So you come to a landing page, and you can choose, are you the one struggling with addiction? Is it somebody else? Or do you just want to kind of bite the bullet and give us a call right now? By letting people pick their path, it's a little bit different flow than what you would typically see, which is simply a form on the website. And catering it to that person, to their needs, again, they're more likely to complete it because it meets their needs. So this is a pretty bold change. This is not what you would typically see on a landing page, but it's definitely worth exploring, and it certainly was for this particular client. All right, so I hope that gives you guys some ideas of changes that you can make ahead of the process and when people hit your landing pages to get more conversions. Now I'm going to turn things over to Margot to talk a little bit more about what you can do to improve your landing pages with video.
Awesome. Thank you, Erin. And I loved how you talked about ads giving more information for what's on that landing page. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how video does that as well. Okay, so first I want to talk about, well, why video, right? So 93% of businesses who use video believe that it's increased user understanding of their product. And that's huge, right? So I think these stats really talk about how video increases the conversion rate that you might have. It ties businesses and their audience together, and how it just kind of creates that human element that leads directly to sales. It builds brand rapport, it humanizes your brand, keeps folks' attention, right? So you can use video in so many different places of your marketing strategy to really increase that click-through rate on your landing page. Let's see here. So 72% of businesses who use video believe that it's improved the conversion rate of their website. And video can do so much for a landing page. So whether you're using it to introduce an event or a webinar, maybe you're saying a little bit about the content offering, or you're just giving a bit of insight into your company and the folks on your team, it definitely brings folks closer to your brand and helps them develop a sense of trust, which is super important. I think about it like this. So I'm not going to give a business I don't trust my email address, right? That email address, it's become even more precious and private the more companies want it. And once I see someone on video who represents the company, I have a good feeling about them, and I start to trust them a little bit more. There's a face behind the copy, and that makes a big impact on the conversion rate. So of course you have to think about, well, where am I going to put this video, right? And we've actually done some research about that here at Wistia. So what we did was we broke down the average landing page into several zones and considered the fold as where you would actually have to start scrolling. So at the very bottom of what you can see before you have to scroll down. And we call that above or below the fold. And as you can see in this slide, we've split up the page into several zones. So you can have as many zones on your page depending on how long it is, but each zone is going to be about 250 pixels in height. And those zones really matter when you consider where to put your landing page content. So we made a little graph here, and it's showing the play rate of your video depending on which zone you put it in. So you can see that once you go beyond zone 3, that play rate begins to drop by a lot. And my actionable tip for you would be to concentrate on putting your video right up on top of that landing page. So that video is going to be engaging for your audience. They'll watch it, they'll feel that human connection, and then they'll scroll down and fill out your form or go to your call to action. And I'm actually really excited. We're going to be putting out some more research around this soon, so I'll get that to you for sure once we're all done. And I want to say that, event registrations are a really great place to use low effort video to drive your lead generation campaigns. So if you think about the last webinar page you saw, maybe it was this one, what makes you want to participate in that, right? The best copy you can have isn't going to be as inviting and human and warm as an introduction video that would take you maybe 30 minutes to put together. And you can even create such an intro video right on your computer's webcam. It doesn't have to be like a huge money project or like a freelance or a production company project. You can do it all on your own, just using your laptop and showing that human face behind the video, or I'm sorry, behind your offer. And that human element is going to be a boost to your lead generation campaign, and it will show you a higher conversion rate for your offer on your landing page. So for example, this is our webinar registration page from this webinar. And this video is what helps us get folks excited about webinars, know what's coming up, know a little bit about the content in there. And so like Erin was saying earlier, with those ads, giving folks a little bit more information, a little bit more transparency into what's on the landing page and making them qualified, this video will help you get folks who actually are interested in that content, who want to know about that content, to convert, right? So it gets folks excited about the webinar, they know what's coming, and it gets them involved with us as people, right, who are representing the brand. So let's take a look at the stats for this video. So these are stats that you would see if you were in Wistia. We're able to give you all this information and a lot more in the end. So when you upload your video, you'll be able to see all of those metrics. And this stats page is actually a little bit out of date. So I picked these stats this morning. And when I looked this morning, we had 1.2 thousand total plays and a 32% play rate. So that engagement graph to the right tells us where folks rewatch the video. That's the orange part. Which parts have spiked and where they may have dropped off from the video. So that play rate lets you know how many people on the page actually went through to play the video. And considering our video was just below the header, below the fold, 32% is pretty good. So in an A/B test, let's say you wanted to measure, we could have changed the thumbnail to display a bit more information, kind of like where Erin explains what we'll be talking about in the video. And although that is a really small change, you could potentially do an A/B test with your landing page with video, without video, right? And then see where those conversion rates fall. And there's a lot you can really learn there, which is really exciting. So what if your offer isn't a webinar, right? Let's say you don't do a lot of these, you haven't started. I mean, I definitely recommend it. It's a lot of fun. But let's say you're not doing a webinar, and that's not a problem. There are so many different types of content to offer on your landing pages, whether it's a cheat sheet, maybe it's a guide, maybe it's a workshop, or what have you. All of those pages can benefit from a video, and it doesn't have to be a huge affair. So I'm going to take you through a couple of different types of offers here and show you a little bit about what I mean. So I'm going to let you in on a little secret here. This might be a little bit of a hack or a myth or what have you. So you'll see that this video is 42 minutes and 41 seconds long. And a lot of times we'll have folks say, hey, you know what? If it's over 3 minutes, like it's not happening, no one's going to watch it, no one's going to go through to your offer. Well, long-form content we found at Wistia is not necessarily the evil, right? So even though you might think well, over 1 or 2 minutes long. It's the last thing that you might want to put on a landing page. Our hack is that we found that putting that rich, valuable long-form video on landing pages gets folks excited to learn more. And I want to jump back to what Erin was saying earlier, where you can switch up that sign-up flow and give folks that information first and then have them register. Well, that's kind of like what we have going here, because folks qualify themselves by being interested and watching through the video. They get that content, they're happy with that content, they're excited to get more, and they're ready to fill out that form. So for this offer, we put out a simple form. We send folks a cheat sheet that summarizes the video. And that cheat sheet is basically a point-by-point summary of the most valuable information in the video that they can use whenever they need it, right? They have it on hand, they can download it, they can send it out, they can use it however they like. So by creating these long and packed videos full of information, we're saying, hey, we're not trying to cheat you into anything, right? Here's that content up front, you know what we're about, here's what you'll get, and it's important. And we see our conversion rates on these pages really jump. And we've also seen that these pages being shared far and wide, it's evergreen content, folks are excited to give their friends a taste of this content because they found it valuable, it's important, and it's right there. Another great way to add video to your offer's landing page is to create an introduction video, right? So that's kind of like we did for this webinar, but if you have a guide or a how-to or anything else that you might be giving away, that introduction video allows your audience to get a peek into what they're actually getting, right? So it's not like they're filling out this form, well, I mean, okay, it looks like you're giving me a guide, an interactive guide, like what does that really mean? You know, can I trust you? Like what kind of company is this? Maybe they haven't even seen your stuff yet, they don't know what you're about, they just found this landing page through a search, let's say, right? So that introduction video allows your audience to get that peek behind the scenes, and it develops that trust factor peer to brand, right? And it makes sure that the folks who are signing up for your offer are people who are actually interested in what's behind that gate, and they're actually interested in your company. And that is super important, because if you have folks who are filling out those landing pages who aren't qualified and who don't really care, you know, that's going to be bad for you later on. So that video helps you maintain that great relationship and get folks who are qualified. See, and finally, video on a landing page can increase your conversion rate by 80% or more, which is huge, right? And that's a stat that we found from Wise Owl. And I think that if you consider, well, where's my landing page? What am I giving away? If you can create that layer of transparency and tell folks what they'll be getting, you're going to be more likely to see more folks sign up for that. Awesome. And I'm going to give it back to Erin.
Awesome. Thank you. That was amazing, Margot. I feel like I learned a lot. And I've seen your sides many times before as we practiced for this. So that was really awesome.
Thank you. I feel like we talked a lot about the same stuff, kind of from different perspectives, which is really cool to see how it ties in together.
100%, 100%. So kind of to close things out, I wanted to talk about one problem that I know a lot of us are not immune to. Just wait for my screen to change. All right, and that's the fact that even if you put all of this time into using videos and creating all of this rich content and all of this time into changing your offers or pre-qualifying your visitors, you know, you could follow all of these recommendations to a T, and you would still run into this problem that the reality is the first time is rarely a charm. I mean, think how many people come to your landing pages with every intent of making a purchase who don't follow through with it, or who maybe intend to follow through with it eventually, but they get distracted and plan to come back to your landing page. Or maybe they need some time to kind of do some competitor analysis and some comparison shopping. So we do see a ton of people land up on our landing pages with all the right intentions and don't convert. In fact, this stat is a little bit painful to look at, but 88% of web buyers say that they've abandoned online shopping carts without completing a transaction. So they physically made the decision in their head to convert and just never followed through with it. And that is just, like painful to listen to. Even if you're not e-commerce, just the very idea of that being the phenomenon with e-commerce, you probably know there's plenty of people who may see your landing page, think of signing up for your service or business, and not follow through. So what on earth can we do to mitigate this and to ensure that these excited, qualified people actually follow through with the conversion? Well, for me, the best solution that I found is remarketing. So win them back with kind of this almighty power of retargeting. And you can do this on Twitter, on Facebook, through the Google Display Network, even through Google Search. And here's the premise of it. You take that prospect who's come to your site and you cookie them so you can identify that particular prospect. Then when they leave your site, they start to see your ad on other sites. So think of, perusing Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, wherever these places are. They see your ad and it reinvigorates them. It reminds them of the purchase that they consider making. They think a little bit about it. Maybe they come back to your site. So here's an example of when this has worked with me as the target. I have to go to Vegas, and as you can see, I was doing a little bit of shopping for that. And at first I was looking at the cheapest hotels out there, being a good employee and hoping to save WordStream some money. But before I converted on Expedia, I thought to myself, I'm just going to swing by the Cosmopolitan's website. They have absolutely beautiful, it's a beautiful resort and hotel. I'm just going to see what it looks like, how expensive it is. And of course, if any of you guys have been to the Strip and know the Cosmopolitan, the prices were way outside of my and WordStream's price range. So I didn't make a purchase. And all of a sudden, I started seeing ads. And the first ad said, have a nightcap with your breakfast. And I was like, oh, that sounds pretty nice. And the second one said, feast from a totally free minibar for the length of your stay, which sounded even nicer. And then they touted the room size. Then I was on Facebook and I saw that my other friends had liked this place and they were offering me a coupon. And then I saw another ad that said just the right amount of wrong. And finally, it was like I couldn't resist any longer. And I was like, screw it, I need to stay at the Cosmopolitan, even if I am blowing my budget out of the park, and we'll probably get in trouble with my boss. I need to stay there, right? Because I saw so many ads kind of winning me over that eventually I just took the plunge and purchased the room. This is incredibly powerful. We see that people are more likely to convert after seeing your ad 6 times. It's not some creepy stalker tactic. It works really freaking well. So I absolutely encourage you guys to use retargeting. It's incredibly powerful and can really make sure that the people that you've spent all this time and money achieving, that you've won over through all of your other marketing efforts, it allows you to nurture them and bring them back to your site. So hopefully that will help you guys kind of finish out this process. Now I'm going to turn things over to Noelle because I think we have a Q&A coming up and she has a couple poll questions for you.
Thank you, Erin. Always love hearing about your times in Vegas, that's for sure. All right, so guys, thank you so much for your time. We do have, as always, a special offer for you. So if you're interested today or later this week in receiving a 1-hour AdWords assessment with our team, we're happy to do that for you. Or if you'd like a free trial of Wistia, go ahead and opt in, guys, and we'll make sure that we connect you with the right people and get you your stuff. And while this is going, I'm going to start the Q&A here. So this first question is for Erin. Is it a best practice to use all 3 match types on one ad group? What do you think about that?
Wow, that's a great question. Somebody in the audience is very advanced. So yeah, I mean, It's definitely dependent on your AdWords strategy, but it certainly doesn't hurt to use the same keyword on multiple match types in the same ad group. Here's the key. If you are going to take that route, you absolutely must ensure that you're setting different bids for these keywords. Kind of my mindset is you want to up the ante for the best fits. So you're going to set a higher bid for those who are an exact match to said keyword. And you probably don't want to pay nearly as much for the less qualified people, those people who are on broad match. So you need to tweak your bids per match type, and that's really what's going to make this strategy useful to you. If you're popping them all in there with the exact same bids on different match types, it's totally useless. The goal is you want to up the ante for the best fits and still catch the less bad fits or less great fits, but not spend the same amount of money for them. Hope that helps.
Great, thank you. Okay, so our next user wants to know, how do you use or find that countdown feature that you showed in AdWords? That they're not sure where that's located.
Yeah, totally fair. That is a pretty, it's a little known thing that you can do, but again, so powerful. If you just search ad customizers anywhere in AdWords, like on the AdWords help page, you should be able to find that snippet of code. You can also search for it in WordStream. We've written in the WordStream blog, we've written a ton of posts on ad customizers, but essentially it's just a snippet of code that you're adding within your ad copy, and it will enable you to tweak the information from there. I should point out, I didn't talk about it, but there's also this idea of using geo ad customizers, which is kind of cool too. It will automatically insert location-based information into your ad, so also worth exploring along with the countdown. My mindset is the more customized and the more urgency you can convey within your ad text, the more likely you are to connect with relevant traffic and push them to take action sooner than later.
Great. So this next question is for Margot. Does video on a registration page help with retention, or do you see it distract the visitor from completing the form?
Okay, good question. So we have not seen video distract folks. The more we've put video on our landing pages, the higher conversion rates that we've seen. So in terms of your retention question, I would say, yeah, absolutely helps with retention. And why is that? Because people feel that human connection between peer to brand, right? If you have kind of like a faceless landing page or a faceless company, you don't see a lot of that human element, behind the scenes element, you're going to have a less kind of personal, a less relatable relationship. And that relationship is what grows retention for us. That's a great question.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and chime in since this is Noelle and I run our marketing here. We hadn't done a ton of video on our reg page, and for this particular webinar, you might have noticed that we did that on the landing page as well as in the email. And this is one of our better performing webinars. We had over 2,000 registrations, so just a little bit more context. Hopefully that's helpful to you guys. Awesome. Okay. Back over to Erin. Erin, are shopping ads beneficial for services or products only? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, so unfortunately, while they would probably be beneficial to way more of us, like more service-based industries, Google will only allow you to run shopping campaigns if you sell a product, like a physical product online, like an online retailer. So long story short, they probably would be helpful, but you can't use them. I hope that will change over time. I do know Bing is a little bit more lax about whom they let use shopping campaigns, so hopefully Google will follow suit sometime in the future.
Awesome. So we'll go with two more questions here. Go ahead and get your last thoughts in, guys. Thank you for your participation today. So this goes to both Erin and Margot. In what circumstances do you guys find A/B testing to be worthwhile?
Yeah, so I can jump in here. We don't do a lot of these small A/B tests that Erin mentioned earlier, right? So if it's like changing a color, or maybe you're changing the header image and they both kind of look the same, we don't do any of that. What we will do is we'll test different thumbnails in videos. So if we put a video up and it's like just a person's face versus if we put a video up and it's the person's face and some qualifying copy, right? So if they're drastically different, we'll test those. Other than that, we will test like having a video versus not having a video on the page, if it's depending on the type of offer or the type of page. But I think, bigger, bolder A/B tests definitely more worthwhile than the smaller changes.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I sound like such a hater of A/B tests, and I don't want to give you guys that impression. I do think A/B testing is important and it's good to do, but like Margot said, go the extra mile. Like make a big change and A/B test that, not teeny tiny tweaks. I'm not saying don't make teeny tiny tweaks. Go ahead and change the colors, but don't expect huge results. And you probably don't want to waste a ton of time kind of having these super pure A/B tests for these teeny tiny changes. I love the video or no video. That's a huge change and will probably have a huge impact, but no sense in those teeny tiny changes.
Great. Okay, last question, and this again is for both of you guys. Do you have any advice for increasing conversions for an intangible service? Looks like you might have stumped our experts here with this question. Okay. A radio show is the example. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we have a ton of clients out there who are providing services that aren't necessarily super concrete like that. I imagine a big thing there is just ensuring that, in your landing pages, you give people an adequate description of what you're offering so they do understand exactly what that offer is. It might not have like a really clean, I guess it would be helpful to know what you guys are tracking as conversions. And maybe this would be better to take offline. But in general, I think the more, when you're working with things like that, the more descriptive you can be with your landing page and the more specific you can be. So with a radio show, I imagine if people are looking at a bunch of different topics for said radio show, the more specific those landing pages are to the topic that that person is looking for, the more likely they are to listen in, right? Because it meets the needs that they've indicated via search that they're looking for. So the more granular and specific, the better. But again, happy to take this offline if you have, some more examples you want to share. Margo, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, that's a super interesting question. Kudos to whoever submitted that. So I think, just being as transparent as possible, like Erin was saying, make sure folks know what they're signing up for. So what you can do is set up like a registration page to remind folks that it's coming up, right? If it's something like register here for the radio show, you can also give examples of shows that you've done in the past so folks know what they're getting into. And of course, it's me. I'm going to say it. Put up a video and tell folks what it's about. Tell folks what they're getting into. Show your face so they have a little bit of that human connection, and just be as transparent as possible. And that should help you get registrations that are qualified, folks that are really excited about that show.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I think that was very helpful to our user. All right, guys. Well, this is all we have today. I want to give a special thank you to Margot from Wistia and Erin from WordStream. Couldn't have done it without you ladies. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for coming. This was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, until next time, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to shout out to us on Twitter. Check out the WordStream blog, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Thanks.